Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this evening's headlines. Nation praise for Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha. Apollo Hospital doctors describe her condition as grave and very critical. Party MLAs back O. Selvam in succession plan. Anxious crowds gather by the thousands in Chennai to get news about Jayalalitha's. Special prayers for the six-time Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, whose illustrious career spanned the worlds of both cinema and politics. Both houses of parliament remain deadlocked over demonetization. Opposition holds up proceedings in upper house over complaints that government staff and pensioners are not getting their salaries. And two huge resignations by world leaders. Matteo Renzi quits as Prime Minister of Italy after his referendum over reforms is rejected. In New Zealand, Prime Minister John Key steps down over family reasons. Well, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha continues to be very critical a day after suffering cardiac arrest and is on various life support systems. The ailing Chief Minister showed some signs of improvement in the last few days before the Sunday setback. Hundreds of Jaya supporters have thronged the Apollo Hospital since last night. Security outside the hospital has also been tightened in view of the swelling crowds of anxious people. The latest information that we presently have, of course, is that the AIADMK flag has been lowered at the party headquarters in Chennai, though there is no official word on Jayalalitha's latest condition. The last word, of course, is the fact that she continues to remain in extremely critical condition, and Apollo Hospital has denied that she is no more. Well, there you have it, of course. You can see several people have gathered outside the Apollo Hospital in Chennai. There is security in elaborate measure there to ensure that the situation does not really get out of hand. People have been praying all over Tamil Nadu for the recovery of Jayalalitha, but doctors continue to say that her condition is extremely grave and critical at the moment. We've seen that a team from AIIMS in Delhi has been rushed to Chennai to take a look at Jayalalitha. Doctor from London too is in Chennai. Dr. Beale, in fact, came out earlier this evening and said that Jayalalitha's condition remains extremely critical. Security apparatus is in place to ensure that the situation does not really go out of hand. The latest information that we have is the fact that AIADMK flag has been lowered at the party headquarters in Chennai. Narayan Lakshman, Senior Deputy Editor of The Hindu, joins me on the phone line right now. Narayan Lakshman, indeed a sad day as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned. No details yet as to what the condition really of Jayalalitha is like at the moment, other than she is extremely critical.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is the correct information. And I think the point is that there is a lot of information flying about, some of it patently false. And as we've seen, there's been a small breakout of violence around the scene of Apollo Hospital, which has been, however, contained. And the point there is that the more speculation and rumors fuel this, the more you're going to see this sort of risk of violence. I think the media should, as a group, it should be more sort of responsible than it has proven to be today in terms of putting out information. I think the most reliable sources so far have been Apollo Hospital itself. And of course, we could wait for any announcement or clarifications from the governor's office.
Indeed, we'll have to wait for a final confirmation. Before that, anything that we say will be speculative. But Narayan Lakshman, as far as the situation is concerned, we just saw a few images there that we can see. Really, we can only speak about those images. We can see several people, policemen on the streets of Chennai, or I assume that it is outside Apollo Hospital. What's the situation like there in Chennai?
Yeah, so the focus of all the activity so far has been at Apollo Chennai Greens Road, But Greens Road is connected to Anna Salai or Mount Road, which is an arterial road in Chennai. And so if anything is spilling over, it would quickly affect transport in other parts of the city. But until the big picture is that until now, today has been peaceful all around or away from that area. There has been a very strong police presence. But at the same time, it has been muted in the sense there has been no need for police to take any sort of action. So I would say that people have been obviously grieving and expressing their emotions around the Apollo hospital site, but the rest of the city has been functioning as normal.
And we saw a beeline of politicians really making their way to Apollo Hospital. Can you confirm some of the big guys who have actually reached there and tried to speak to someone present there in Chennai or at the Apollo Hospital?
Yes, you've seen all the sort of heavyweights of Tamil Nadu politics pretty much going there. Vaiko, I think, was seen earlier, maybe in the last few hours. Tirunavakar of the Congress was over there, and several other people. And they came out, however, and spoke to media only to say that they had obviously not seen Ms. Jayalalitha herself, but they had spoken to doctors and had been briefed on the intensive focus of cardiologists and pulmonologists on her and their intensive monitoring of her, including by doctors from AIIMS in Delhi and Dr. Richard Beale from London. So that is the sort of level of information that even they were able to provide the media after going into the hospital.
Narayan, one final question before I let you go, of course. Is there any official statement that is going to be put out by the hospital anytime soon?
Well, that is again in the realm of speculation. I think it's quite possible, just that's really down to how events pan out. But one source of information that has been important through this process is Apollo Hospital itself. And interestingly enough, of Ms. Sangeeta Reddy of the Apollo owning family, who has put out clarifications both to address specific issues mentioned on social media and also most recently to clarify in the face of these wild flying rumors that in fact Ms. Jayalalitha is still receiving the active care of all the experts who have gathered there just for this purpose.
And so there is no official word on a bulletin as such, a health bulletin, because hospitals usually give out health bulletins when you know people of such a magnitude really are admitted in the hospital. So there is no word on any of that.
There is no word formally, but I was told from multiple sources informally that around 6 p.m., which is in fact around this very moment, that we should be expecting something. It is possible that I would expect that within the next few hours we could expect it would be quite realistic to hope for a bulletin.
And like I said, just one final bit of information, because you're trying to get as much as possible there from the ground in Chennai, because here in Delhi the situation is extremely sketchy. But in the eventuality of something drastic must happen, what kind of security apparatus is in place there in Chennai so as to ensure that things don't go out of hand?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the Chennai police, in a word, has been mobilized like almost never before in recent times. We saw a circular that was sent out to joint commissioners, to all the police chiefs, even right down to the station level, saying that every police officer had to report for full duty bandobast and would have to possibly have very, very minimally staffed police stations, and instead they would all be out in force on the streets. So you're seeing a massive police presence. They've even been told to hire vehicles where required. And I think, to be honest, if they have prepared the best they can. We have heard about CRPF being notified or being informed of these of any the need for any eventuality to be deployed, but no presence of any army or any other forces at the moment. It really seems to be down to the police, who are out in full strength today across Chennai.
Narayan, if I could just ask you to stay on the line for some time, probably you can go to your sources and get some more information for us. In the meantime, let's just move on and take a look at some of the developments, of course, in Chennai now with their chief minister in hospital in a critical condition. MLAs of the ruling AIADMK have reportedly signed a statement saying that Jaya's trusted Lieutenant OP Paneerselvam will be his successor. Selvam has been Chief Minister twice earlier, but on both occasions he had succeeded Jayalalitha because of her legal cases. Selvam is an MLA from Tamil Nadu, and he's an MLA from the Theni district. In his most recent outing as Chief Minister, Selvam held the portfolios of Finance, Planning, Legislative Assembly, Elections and Passports, Personnel and Administrative Reforms. After she was shifted to the ICU, Tamil Nadu Governor Vidyasagar Rao allocated the portfolios held by Jayalalitha to Selvam on October 11th. Selvam has been heading the cabinet meeting since then. Narayan, if you're still with us and if you can hear me, of course, the MLA seem to have backed Selvam at the moment. In the past too, we've seen him take over from Jayalalitha when she had those legal cases that she had to deal with. And even now, over the last 1 month since Jayalalitha has been in the hospital, we've seen Selvam take over the charge of Jayalalitha.
Yes. Mr. Selvam is seen as a very trustworthy and reliable senior AIADMK leader, and has, as you correctly mentioned, he has enjoyed the trust of Ms. Jayalalitha even during the time when she was unable to stay in the chief minister's seat owing to the legal cases. And I think he is capable, certainly, to carry out all the duties associated with these various portfolios that have already, as you said, been handed over to him. I think the bigger question going forward will be what really is the shape of the party structure itself, given how much it relied on the sheer force and the weight of the personality of Ms. Jayalalitha, both in terms of her personal charisma, but also in terms of her understanding of policies, mass welfare policies, macroeconomic policies. There's so many aspects of governing the state of Tamil Nadu that she has been doing on multiple occasions as Chief Minister since 1989.
All right, Narayan Lakshman, much appreciate you joining us on the phone line there and telling us what exactly the situation is like in Chennai. Thank you so much for joining us on the phone line and putting things into perspective for us. Moving on now, Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu has reached the Apollo Hospital even as wishes continue to pour in for her. Various political leaders, including President Pranab Mukherjee, Mamata Banerjee, Rahul Gandhi, also took to Twitter to express their concerns for Amma and wished her a speedy recovery.
She had a heart problem yesterday, and then doctors are attending to it. We hope that she'll be able to improve.
She's a great lady, very loved and admired by every citizen of our states. The Tamil Nadu people are her family. We are all her family. So we want her to be taken care of.
Yes, I've heard that, and I also tweeted about it. I hope she recovers and gets well as soon as possible.
हम लोग तो उनके स्वास्थ्य लाभ की ही कामना करेंगे। वैसे अभी नड्डा साहब ने कहा है कि वो खतरे से बाहर हैं, तो ये अच्छी खबर है। स्वास्थ्य मंत्री हैं।
ये शुभकामनाएं उनको भेजना चाहती हूँ अपनी तरह से, अपनी पार्टी की तरफ से, कि वो जल्दी स्वस्थ हो जाएं। तमिलनाडु उनकी लोगों को उनकी जरूरत है, हिंदुस्तान के लोगों को उनकी जरूरत है।
तो सुन रहे हैं कि उनकी स्थिति गंभीर हुई। हम तो ईश्वर से यही प्रार्थना करेंगे वो जल्दी स्वस्थ हो, क्योंकि वो खाली तमिलनाडु की बड़ी नेता नहीं, देश में भी उन्होंने दिशा दी है। तो हम लोग यही कामना करते हैं जल्दी स्वस्थ हो।
उन्होंने वहाँ लोगों के लिए काम किया है, लोग उनको चाहते हैं, तो ईश्वर से हमारी यही प्रार्थना है कि वो जल्द सेहतयाब हों और अपने प्रदेश और अपने लोगों की जिस तरह से खिदमत करती हैं ये आगे भी करें।
तो यही दुआ है कि वो जल्द से जल्द स्वास्थ्य लाभ करें और फिर से एक बार तमिलनाडु के लोगों की सेवा का काम शुरू करें। हमारी ऊपर वाले से यही दुआ है और यही दुआ जो है वो इस देश के करोड़ों लोग कर रहे हैं कि जयललिता जी जल्द से जल्द ठीक हों, उनको जो है वो उनको स्वास्थ्य लाभ हो।
I convey our good wishes for her recovery, and we wish and we hope she would overcome the present crisis, health crisis, deterioration of her health, and she would recover from this phase of our health problem.
Well, politicians there in Delhi reacting to the condition of Jayalalitha, all of them saying and hoping that she recovers at the earliest. Let's not forget she's been in the hospital for a while now. She was initially admitted to hospital on the 27th of September. Well, joining me on the phone line right now is journalist S. Srinivasan. Srinivasan, if you could tell us what the situation really is like in Chennai. We can see from the visuals on our screens that there are several hundred people who have gathered outside the Apollo hospital, really, and police also seems to have taken the situation into control and ensuring that peace and calm prevails in Chennai.
You see, the situation, you have to go back a little. On September 23rd, Jayalalitha was admitted into Apollo with complaints of dehydration and other complications. Since then, there have been reports of her health swinging between improvement and deterioration. But largely, if you were to look at a graph, there has been the reports which have been coming from, over a dozen, press releases have come from Apollo hospital, which suggested that her health has been steadily improving. But last night, there was a sudden dip when the announcement came that she has suffered cardiac arrest. Since her situation was already in a very, very delicate and her health was in a precarious condition, this further added to the criticality of her health condition. And since then, doctors have been trying their best to, revive her. And she is back in critical care. Now, experts from, AIMS, Delhi, and Apollo experts, pulmonary experts, heart, and other, specialists are all working on her. And as far as official position is concerned, the hospital is still maintaining that she is extremely critical, and the doctors are trying to revive her. Today itself, there has been 2 or 3 releases which suggest that they're, intensely working on her health. There were some tweets also which said that the situation is critical, but the hospital is trying to revive her.
Right.
This is the kind of statement which has been coming throughout the day. Of course, this since yesterday, and there has been a lot of apprehensions among the ADMK supporters who have gathered in large number outside the hospital. Now their concern about the health of the leader has been increasing, and this evening some news channels put out a story that probably she is no more, and that led to certain unrest.
Yes.
But then this situation has been retrieved as Apollo quickly reacted that the news is not true. And then, even the ADMK party flag was lowered half-mast for a few minutes, and now it has been set right.
Okay.
As far as the police is concerned, since 7 this morning, there has been,
All right.
So the law and order situation as far as the state is concerned is under control right now.
All right, Srinivasan, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us there with those details on the phone line. And it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Shira and you're watching Law of the Land.
Transgender is the most visibly invisible.
The transgender is an umbrella term.
New bill kind of, criminalized the whole thing.
Watch Law of the Land on Rajya Sabha television. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, the united opposition continued to corner the government in the Rajya Sabha on Monday over the demonetization and sought to know if financial emergency has been imposed in the country. The opposition claimed that the employees and the pensioners are facing acute hardships due to cash crunch. The government, however, insisted on resuming the discussion on demonetization. The standoff washed away the proceedings of the House for the 13th day in a row.
The government's decision to demonetize high-value currency notes continues to face tough resistance from the opposition in the upper house. Upping the ante against the government, leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad alleged that government employees and pensioners were not getting their salaries. Azad also stressed that ATM machines even inside the parliament complex were out of order.
जो एटीएम है, लाइब्रेरी के अंदर एटीएम है, इस हमारे दरवाजे के बाहर एटीएम है, ये तो खराब ही रहते हैं। खराब इसलिए रखे गए हैं ताकि पैसा न देना पड़े। आपके लाइब्रेरी में वहां पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है, तो जब पार्लियामेंट के अंदर पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है, पार्लियामेंट के अंदर एटीएम नहीं चल रहा है, तो हम कैसे अपेक्षा करेंगे कि भारत के गांव और छोटे और बड़े कस्बों में पैसा मिल रहा है। सर, ये तो फाइनेंशियल इमरजेंसी जैसे लग गई है इस देश में।
CPM Sitaram Yechuri and SPs Naresh Agarwal were quick to back the leader of opposition and slammed the government for allegedly adding to the woes of the common man.
I raised the issue. You please ask them to respond. I raised that issue. But ask government to reply.
महीने का पहला सप्ताह पे डे होता है, पे वीक। पूरे देश में कर्मचारियों को कहीं तनख्वाह नहीं मिल रही है, पेंशन वालों को पेंशन नहीं मिल रही है। एक तरीके से एनार्की मची हुई है और सरकार जानबूझ के इसको की है।
Refuting all allegations, Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu claimed that the opposition was bereft of any real issues, even as he stressed on resuming the discussion on demonetization. Naidu also underscored the need to debate and discuss pending legislations.
महत्वपूर्ण विषय है। एक विधायक मंत्री जी हैं। Permit me to say something. Yes, I am. Yeah, please. All right. Okay, please permit me. Okay. of rights and the persons with disabilities and matters for connectivity.
The opposition, however, refused to relent, and members of the Congress, SP, TMC and BSP marched into the well of the House. 0 hour and question hour were both paralysed. As the opposition escalated the offensive against the government, the chair adjourned the House till 2 p.m. There was no respite even in the post-lunch session as the opposition continued its tirade against the government. As the war of words continued, the chair adjourned the House till Tuesday. With inputs from Vishal Dhaya, Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Monday became the 13th consecutive day when Lok Sabha could not function due to the opposition uproar on demonetization. Even though a discussion on the issue began, the opposition remained adamant on its demand of discussion under a rule that entails voting.
Soon after proceedings began in Lok Sabha, the opposition parties created uproar demanding for a discussion on demonetization. The issue brought together the entire opposition. Home Minister Rajnath Singh informed the House that the government was ready for a discussion without voting. He also said that opposition suggestions would be considered.
हम इस पर बहस करने को अभी बहस करने को हम इस पर तैयार हैं कि इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को लेकर कहां पर क्या कठिनाई पैदा हो रही है, क्या अड़चनें पैदा हो रही हैं, और मैं प्रतिपक्ष को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं अध्यक्ष महोदय कि जो भी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की कठिनाइयों से सदन को प्रतिपक्ष अवगत कराएगा, उसका यथासंभव निराकरण करने की हम लोग अपनी तरफ से भरपूर कोशिश करेंगे.
Several opposition members had given notices of adjournment, but these were rejected by the Speaker. Although a discussion under Rule 193 was part of the day's business, the opposition demanded voting under Rule 194.
आपने कहा कि Rule 56 में यहाँ डिस्कशन नहीं हो सकता, आप इसको मॉडिफाई करके किसी और तरीके से लाइए. तो हम और तरीका ढूंढे सभी मिलके कि Rule 184 में इस विषय को ले, क्योंकि आज लोगों की तनख्वाह नहीं मिल रही, पेंशन नहीं मिल रहा है, लोग क्यों में खड़े हैं.
They have their brute majority by which they can easily start discussion under 184. What Congress party has submitted in consultation with us. I have placed adjournment motion, madam. But I want to withdraw. If 184 starts discussion on voting.
नोटबंदी पर बहस होनी चाहिए और बहस के लिए हम लोग तैयार हैं. हम लोग आगे बढ़ करके जो धारा 184 है इसमें तैयार हैं. मत का विभाजन हो और जो है बहस होनी चाहिए.
बुवाई नहीं कर पाए हैं, आप पूरा उत्तर प्रदेश ही पता लगा लीजिए, नहीं बुवाई कर पाए हैं और वो बीज और खाद नहीं मिली है, तो आप बता दीजिए इस गंभीर सवाल पर भी अगर सदन में बहस आप स्वीकार नहीं करेंगी, अध्यक्ष जी, इससे बड़ा आपके जीवन में नहीं आ सकता मुद्दा महत्व जितना आज है.
हम 193 के तरफ से हम चाह रहे हैं
वो लोग 184 की तरफ से जा रहे हैं। किसी भी तरीके से जो है एक सुझाव गवर्नमेंट को दे दे, गवर्नमेंट को एक सुझाव दे कि ये किस तरीके से चलाए।
In the post-lunch session, the discussion under Rule 193 was started by Jitendra Reddy of the TRS. As the opposition uproar refused to die down, the speaker adjourned the House for the day. This was the 13th consecutive day of disruptions in Lok Sabha. With inputs from Ravindra Sharan and Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Supreme Court, which had to hear to the pleas on demonetization, has adjourned the court to December 9th. The apex court had to take up several petitions which were challenging Prime Minister Modi's demonetization move. Meanwhile, crowds returned to the banks after a Sunday holiday as thousands of people hungry for cash queued up to take out money. The scene was no different at ATMs that were functional.
Court on Monday deferred the hearing of petitions against the demonetization decision till 9th of December. Included in these are petitions that are challenging the constitutional validity of demonetization. Earlier, the top court had adjourned a hearing on the problems faced by cooperative banks till December 2nd. In response, the centre submitted an affidavit calling it an attempt to unearth black money. The issue resonated in the West Bengal Assembly, where Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee slammed the centre in her speech. Trinamool Congress Party MLAs also staged a protest outside the assembly in Kolkata. The party also held protests in Delhi, where party MPs voiced their opposition to the demonetization in the parliament complex.
What was our demand? That discussion with voting, in spite of brute majority on the floor of the House in Parliament. It is most surprising that the ruling party is totally frightened. The reason is best known to them. It is the responsibility of the ruling party and the government to run the House, not of the opposition.
Monday was the 27th day of the cash crunch. On the streets, the queues continued to be long outside the banks and the ATMs.
कैशलेस का कोई मतलब नहीं, मतलब बड़े रेस्टोरेंट या होटल या बड़े शॉप पर ही है, वरना छोटी शॉप वाले उनको दिक्कत हो रही है। अब उनको हम पैसे कहाँ से दें? हमें पैसे होने चाहिए। 6:30 बजे से हम लोग लाइन पे खड़े हुए हैं और यहाँ से बैंक वाले कहते हैं पता नहीं, कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं हमारे पास कि कैश नहीं है, क्या आएगा या नहीं है। वो बोल रहे हैं 12:30-1 बजे तक आएगा।
नहीं, संभव तो है अगर गवर्नमेंट पूरे प्रयास करे। लाइक अगर हमें गाड़ी यहाँ पार्क करनी है एंड इट इज रिटर्न हियर, कार्ड नॉट एक्सेप्टेड, सो अगेन इट विल बी क्रिएटिंग अ प्रॉब्लम फॉर अस.
In other developments, the Enforcement Directorate arrested 2 Axis Bank managers in New Delhi in connection with its money laundering probe. It also seized 3-kilogram gold bars from the managers who were allegedly converting old notes in connivance with other staff. With Anu Diwan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, in a development seen as a blow to the EU, Matteo Renzi has resigned as the Prime Minister of Italy after his referendum over reforms was rejected by the voters. The country's president will now decide whether to appoint a new Prime Minister or hold elections. Meanwhile, there are concerns over Italy's economy, which is Eurozone's third largest, and has led to fears over a deeper crisis for country's already vulnerable banking sector.
Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi has resigned after suffering a heavy defeat in a referendum called over constitutional reforms. The defeat of the vote was resounding, with nearly 60% of the voters saying no, with a high turnout of nearly 70%.
Questa riforma è stata quella che abbiamo portato al voto. Non siamo stati convincenti, mi dispiace, però andiamo via senza rimorsi. Perché se vince la democrazia e vince il no, è anche vero che noi abbiamo combattuto la buona battaglia con grande determinazione e passione.
Renzi had himself called the referendum, but opponents argued that the reforms would give the Prime Minister too much power. It is a resounding victory for the No camp, a medley of populist parties headed by Beppe Grillo's Five-Star Movement. This party has pledged to carry out a referendum on whether Italy should stay in the euro area.
Certainly we are going to have a period of uncertainty. I do not expect it to be too long. So in the very next days, I think the president is going to try and find a majority, and he is going to find it.
Meanwhile, the euro fell to a 20-month low against the dollar at the prospect of instability in the eurozone's third biggest economy. The result is also threatening to throw the country into a banking crisis.
référendum, c'est une question de politique intérieure italienne. C'était une question de réforme de la Constitution. Évidemment, ce référendum ne portait pas sur l'Europe, sur la politique européenne, sur la place de l'Italie en Europe. L'Italie est un pays profondément européen, très attaché.
I'm very confident in the capacity of the Eurozone to resist to all kinds of shocks. I think that we have now a very solid system.
The country's president, meanwhile, is likely to ask Renzi to stay on at least until Parliament has passed a budget bill due later this month. Finance Minister Pier Carlo Padoan is favoured to succeed Renzi as Prime Minister. Despite the pressure from the opposition, early elections are unlikely before 2018. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, another country's Prime Minister stepped down too, though his was totally unexpected. New Zealand Prime Minister John Key announced his resignation after 8 years as head of the government. Key cited family reasons for stepping down. Key also resigned as the National Party leader. The popular Prime Minister said he was never a career politician and it was the right time to go, though adding that it was the hardest decision he has ever made. Well, that's it on this edition of the Bulletin. Have a good evening.